What's up, EKN Nation? How are you? Rob Howden here. It is May the 7th, Thursday. We're still locked down with this whole coronavirus, COVID-19 shutdown. Hopefully you at home are staying safe, potentially trying to get out, maybe doing some racing. We're having fun here with our EKN Face2Face program on Facebook Live, bringing in some guests to talk about the sport, talk about some of course, the current issues we're dealing with. We had track managers on. We've had some guys that work in the industry as well. We had Alan Rudolph on, the leading educator. We're going to have a bit of fun here today because I've got a guest coming on that I haven't seen in about probably 4 or 5 years, but I've known him for over 20. And not many people that have been in the sport, for the last 5 years, because we have a lot of turnover, they don't realize that this guy here was at the very top level of the sport when he was a little younger, about 20 years ago. Now, of course, a big star, does a lot of stuff, game show host, TV host, singer, comedian, Dancing with the Stars champion as well. Joining me today, it's going to be fun. We're going to take a walk down memory lane. Let's bring in Alfonso Ribeiro. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, buddy.
Good to have you here, bud. Good to have you here.
Good to be on. It's a blast from the past, but a good blast.
It is, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
We've of course, we're 20 years down the line. We're better looking, and we're in better shape than we were, I think, back then.
I'm pretty much the same.
You look exactly the same. You look exactly the same.
I think I'm the exact same weight because I didn't have to put no weight on my card.
No, you did not. Yeah, and that's one of the things. People don't understand this, and I love this part. I'll bring up, back when the Pro Moto Tour Day started in 1999, Alfonso Ribeiro raced with us, Sean Patrick Flannery, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, not only did he race with us, but he won the world finals. Like, you were one of the top dogs in S2. You moved to S1.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you guys were all in.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is you come from the celebrity racing and, you win a couple races and you're like, oh, this could be awesome. Where do we go from here, right? And for me, I actually started, car racing. Like I started, doing Formula cars. I raced the Star Mazda series. I raced the Barbara Dodge series. I did a bunch of showroom stock stuff. And then when you have like I did, I had a major accident. Then you start going, this isn't what I do for a living, but I really love it still. Where can I go?
Yeah.
Where, especially if you don't really know the whole racing world, karting is that place, right? Where you can go, you can do it for a lot more than you think going in. Because I spent a lot more money than I thought I was going to.
You did.
But you go, we went in full bore, Mark Paul Gosselaar, Sean Patrick Flannery, myself, basically went full in, and we bought all the carts and the trailer, and we teamed up with JM Racing, with Tony Kart, and we basically funded Tony Kart for a year.
You did.
I mean, every development that Tony Kart did for like 2 years was paid for by SPF and ALR. But we just absolutely loved it and fell in love with it and got good pretty quickly, but really learned that's really we did it backwards, right? You normally want to start in go-karting and work your way into cars. We were like, you know what? Let's go back to the ground roots, the grassroots of it all. And I loved it. I absolutely had some of the best years, so much fun jumping into karting, and it was awesome.
I want to know how you first got into it, because of course you were doing the car racing stuff, and you mentioned Mark Paul Gosselaar. Grant Show was in there as well. I remember Grant from Melrose Place. Right. He was racing. I remember showing up at a race one day, and I see you guys. I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing here? And it was kind of that deal. Who did you connect with first to get into the sport?
I think Mark Paul was the one who he had met a bunch of guys in the karting world, and they were the ones who said, he went to him and said, dude, we should go check this whole karting thing out. We were like, karting? What are you talking about? And I think we went to a factory and we went to one of the races. Yeah. And after watching the 125 shifter race, I think all of us right in that moment were like, okay, where do sign me up? Right now, I'm buying a cart. Can I buy someone's cart here and go race?
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, it was immediately it just landed and made me want to do it. And so I think he was the one who got us in. And then we just started doing our own little research, trying to figure out, obviously in California, there was really only a couple of like decent manufacturers and places that we could go. We went to Pitts. which was one of them. Then we went to JM, and we just kind of like got a feel for who would have been a good, let's say, people to team up with to try to move this forward. And Jean Marchioni, he was the man who convinced us to spend a lot of money.
Spend money to go fast.
Yeah, listen, you never want to blame yourself. It was always the cart, right? Obviously, someone else had better equipment. It was never us.
Of course. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. Come on.
It's not as long as man is man.
That's it.
But yeah, so we really dove in, and that first season, which was kind of our one of the most fun seasons we had, because we had stock motors, right? Like, we didn't go and get the super motors yet. We had no idea that they could do anything to them. We bought a stock go-kart and went out and just drove. And like Sean and I drove all the way to Fort Lauderdale from LA.
I remember
to do a race. Yep. And that was the time when we realized that we had way inferior equipment than other people, because we were getting dusted down the straights and we couldn't understand. It was like, dude, I'm closing on dude in front of me, and then the dude just takes off, and then I'm catching him in the corners, and then he's taking off, and I'm catching him and I'm taking off. And we did really well. Like, I won and Sean won, but it was such a struggle. And from that point forward, we realized, okay, we really need to move this to the next level so that we can actually compete at a higher level than where we were. And so we, hooked up, we got some motors done. We thought that Jean had actually built us some real motors, and he hadn't, right? It was, we put it on a dyno. We're like, okay,
we're still down.
Like, I can go to Honda right now, put this bad boy on here, and it was the same thing. So we really spent some time and some money developing an R&D and some good motors, and then eventually that thing fell through, and we went and we teamed up with Track Magic and created our own team, Cyclone Racing, where we could ultimately just kind of do it ourselves. And Everett Giebler ran our show for us and made sure we were up to speed. And we busted our butts. I mean, we flew and drove and showed up, Rock Island, Norman, Oklahoma. We were all over the place, and we committed fully. We loved it. I mean, it was literally a great time.
We had a lot of fun together. Let's not blow past that year where you didn't have the right equipment, because you were fast. And you obviously, Sean was running in the S1 class. You were running in the S2 category and battling against some of the big stars. The guys like Travis Irving and Mike McNamara and Josh Schreiber and the big dogs. You ended up winning the World Finals. I don't want to blow by that, because
let's not blow by that.
That was massive, because that was kind of your culmination of that year where you guys kept getting better. I was so impressed by how fast how committed you were to it. You practiced, you tested, you got better and better. And I remember watching Sean at the end of pit lane, because I think he was going to go on next after you. And you had this big lead, and he's out there showing you how big the lead was. He was so excited. But that was a huge win for you. You have a big victory like that. You kind of, everybody, you guys were there racing. That was you being there and competing, not just racing.
Well, I think the craziest part of all of it was, everybody in the pit lane looked at us like, oh, here comes these Hollywood guys thinking that they're going to come in here and just beat us, right? Because they think so highly of themselves. And that was never it. Like, we fully immersed ourselves into the entire community. And we felt like we were possibly a way to bring what we thought was a really cool part of the racing community that gets a lot of love over in Europe and in South America, but doesn't get the same kind of love here in America. We were hoping we could bring it, to the masses a little more. But yeah, going and doing and winning. Sean and I we were together, arm in arm, literally. I mean, we we rooted for each other and raced hard against each other. We battled, but that's what made, I think, it so great, and why we were able to move through the ranks as quickly as we did, was because we were pushing each other with a love for each other. Where you see so many people in the racing community that is literally looking out for themselves and themselves alone, that they don't have a team, a real team, where they're literally, after a test day, a full test day, and when you're going to do 2 or 3 test days back to back, go to the hotel, get on the laptops, and literally go through all of the running and looking at all of the maps, and where are you fast here? What are you doing different? How are you getting into that corner faster? What are you doing with your setup? And we would literally do a debriefing after every session, and then an entire debriefing at the end of every day, to try to get better and show up the next day and then implement things on the cart, on the track the next day. Learning about, things that we never knew. Like, obviously, we didn't know that as the air density changes, you need to put a new thing in the carburetor to run better. You got these things you're running like, where's the wind, right? You're just
that's it. Yeah.
We didn't know any of that going in. It's like all of a sudden in the morning you're super fast, in the afternoon, midday you're horrible, then it gets good again. You're going, what's going on? And you're not going with it and learning all of that. But the World Finals kind of showed me that I could compete against, not necessarily the upper echelon yet, but that I was there.
You're ready.
I could show up and race and deliver. It taught me racecraft. When you get out front, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
How to lead. Yep.
Do you keep going? Do you keep trying to stretch it? Or do you get smooth, real consistent, and say, come chase me when you figure out how big a lead you had? And I had a really substantial lead, 3/4 of the way into that race, and I backed it down. I didn't back it all the way down, obviously. You still got to push, but I backed it down enough to know that if I don't make any mistakes, they're never going to catch me, and kept it on. And I had learned that track, and, we tested a ton in Norman, Oklahoma.
That's a tough racetrack, too.
Oh, it was a beast, because that intersection where you just kept going in one direction, it was like, it wasn't a 360. It was like a 780 that just kept coming tighter. By the end, you mentioned Rudolph. Rudolph would be like, I remember watching him race a ton. His neck would be going the opposite way, and we got strong, and we got good. And it was a wonderful time for me to be able to win a prestigious race, one of the biggest ones in America
at that time, for sure.
At the time, yeah. I mean, look, it was a Super Nationals, and it was winning in the World Finals. Those were the 2 big ones, and to win that was special.
And you nailed the donuts afterward as well. The victory.
Oh
donuts.
no! I could do donuts. I can eat donuts, and I can do donuts. That part I know how to do.
That's awesome.
Just lock that wheel, drop it, and let it just spin. I'd put that front tire on a dime and just let the whole cart just go around it. I can.
We got lots of pictures of that too.
Yeah, I did that a couple times at Long Beach too.
That's good. We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. "25 years of experience, 25 years of success." Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports are heading into their 3rd decade in the sport with winning momentum and the best material possible. Last year's monumental victories at the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals have proven what the sport has long known. Greg Bell is one of the finest karting tuners, and he and his drivers can get the job done. Looking for a change in equipment? Get on board with Leading Edge Motorsports. Leading Edge is North America's factory team for Formula K and Praga karts, and the new 2020 models are in stock and ready for pickup or shipping to your garage. Do you want to win like Danny Formal did with Leading Edge in Las Vegas? Call Greg Bell today at 209-369-0921 to secure your place on the team. Leading Edge Motorsports will be trackside in 2020 at the Challenge of the Americas, SCUSA Pro Tour and California Pro Kart Challenge, Rock Sonoma, and the KPX Karting Championship in NorCal. From Rock to Miami to Briggs, Rely on Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports to give you everything you need to step into the winner's circle. Check out leadingedgemotorsports.com to learn more. Every winter, young drivers take the leap up to the next class. Whether it's micro to mini, mini to junior, or the big jump from junior into the senior ranks, it's tougher competition. If your son or daughter are moving up a class in 2020, give them exactly what they need to be ready. Professional coaching from the most respected teacher in the sport. With over 30 years of karting experience, Alan Rudolph and his staff at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy specialize in training young racers and accelerating their skills so that they're ready for the next challenge. Don't just invest in equipment, invest in your driver. Bring them to the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy at Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston and invest in their skill development. Get them ready to take on that next on-track challenge, better prepared than ever. Get ready for 2020 by calling the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy at 866-607-7223. Head to speedsportsracingpark.com to learn more. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. I want to ask your experience with the Supernats, because later that year you end up finishing 5th at the Supernats, on the podium there as well.
Right.
What do you? Because the Supernats are still going. It's the biggest race in North America. You came out a couple of years ago as a guest to come sing the national anthem like you did for us so many times.
Right.
What are your experience? What are your memories of the Super Nationals?
One of the best ever. Right. I laugh about this all the time with Danica Patrick.
Yep.
Because she was kart racing when we went to the Super Nationals the first time. And because we were funding basically Tony Kart in America at the time, I was like, we went ahead and spent a ton of money. We had a huge tent, and Danica Patrick actually raced, because she was on Tony Kart at the same time, in our tent. And so I said it all the time. I was like, yeah, Danica Patrick used to race for me. She laughs when I say that because she's like, yeah, no. But it was the creme de la creme. Right. Everybody in this country, and especially back then, right? Everybody in this country and some big names would always show up. And you knew that when you did well at the Super Nationals, obviously there were always accidents and things happen. But if you did well at the Super Nationals, that kind of said where you were in all of America in terms of kart racing. There was nothing bigger. There was nothing better. I remember when it was out in Sloan,
that's right.
Before it moved over to the Rio parking lot. It was so much fun. It was like getting out and, that track, what corner was that? Turn 2 or turn 3? I think it was turn 2. That was the corner that separated the men from the boys.
Yeah, there was a lot. Yes.
Right? Like you came out of the last corner, you went down the main straight, you made that first right and then that second right. And if you didn't get it right and literally use every inch of that track, you were getting dusted down that back straight.
Indeed.
And so, it was one of the crazy things was when I first started racing, Sean used to always say, there's nobody that has more balls in a car than you do.
Wow.
Because you just go for it. Like, you're like,
whatever.
I might die, but I'm going to take this flat. And I remember the first time I got to that corner and did it flat. Yeah, I didn't do that for a while. Oh, shit. You drop a wheel and you're like, don't hook.
Yeah, and then
don't hook.
You're in the gravel because then you're driving to the gravel.
Yeah, no. There wasn't grass. It wasn't nice. It was literally the desert. And so you dropped a wheel there and you're just literally going, don't flip. Just don't flip. But in race time, it's like, who can put that cart at that speed right on the edge every time down that straightaway? I made a ton of passes down that straight because that was one corner that I said, there's no 14-year-old that's going to beat me into that corner. Like I'm a man. Yeah, it didn't always work. That's awesome. But some of the best times, and that was when Brown Hollis Brown owned the track, and Brian Herta was part owner with him then, and that's what kind of, we would go out there and test all the time. We did a lot of testing. We drove and tested and worked hard to get our skills up to where we felt like we could compete against the best. And I always felt like it was messed up because I was giving up so much weight to a lot of the kids.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, and I wasn't. There wasn't no senior division back then, so I wasn't doing that, right? No. But yeah, it was. Kids could put the weight in the bottom of their seats. I had it all above the seat, so had to really kind of work my way around making a cart that wasn't really designed to be at its best with where my weight was. Large upper body yep. above the seat line. It was hard. I can really smoke kids in the slow corners because I was getting those tires to dig in, and I could get out of a slow corner really fast. But those fast corners, it was hard to keep the cart pretty flat and stable.
Yeah. So you jump into 1997, then 98, then you guys go hardcore in 99. You have your own team in 2000, and then you essentially stop racing. What was it that what made you say, you know what, I have my time here. We're going to move on.
I think a little bit of it was, and Sean and I have talked about this a little bit since, it kind of got disheartening at times when you realize the difference of, and I'm not gonna name any names or say anything specific, but there were people who just simply had better stuff that we were never going to get.
Yeah.
Right. And it was at a time when technology was, people could be better than the rules officials were at finding things. And eventually SCUSA had to just give in and just make everything legal because there was no way that they were ever going to police it properly. And after a while, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you're going, I'm spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go have fun. And we felt like in terms of our skills, we were really close to the top, but we were never going to get the best stuff. And unfortunately, the people at Track Magic, they said they were going to give us the same stuff that the race team had, and then they didn't. Right. And then they admitted to it. And we just kind of got, with all the politics and all of that, we just kind of said, you know what? We wish everybody luck. And it was a great time in our lives. I had a family at that point. And so I just went, it's time to move on to the next chapter in our lives.
Let's talk about some other your racing. You became like a superstar at the Long Beach Grand Prix in the Toyota Celebrity Race. You won a couple of those races.
Yeah, well, I won two of them back to back in the 90s. Yep. And the first one, obviously, what they do is they make you start on, there's just the celebrity field, and then they have the pro field. And so I went out my first year, I qualify on pole, and I win the race by like 11 seconds, right? So I just take off and win. So the next year, they have us come back, and they tell me, well, okay, this year you're not going to start on pole. You're going to start at the back of the pack. And I was like, all right, well, it'll be more fun because I'll, be able to pass some cars versus just run 10 laps around Long Beach and just leave everybody alone. Yep. I was in first place in 4 laps and just checked off again and, left everybody. The third year, they had a bunch of old winners and whatever come back, right? But they make me start at the back. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Everybody else has won or been in the race also. Why am I starting in the back? They're like, because you're starting in the back. All right, whatever. So I go into turn 1, and I've got no brakes.
Oh.
No brakes. Foot goes to the floor. Bang it, I hit it into the wall, right? but I was lucky enough to not go to where I, blew the radiator or the wheels. And so I backed up and just started going again. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? How am I going to do this? Well, I realized that obviously the e-brake worked, right?
Now we're talking.
So I basically started drifting, right? So I'm just going, and every corner I e-brake it and put the foot on the pedal in hopes that it would slow it down a little bit. It wasn't that it didn't work at all. It just wasn't working as well. So I would do that and add a little e-brake to try to get the car to stop. And I would sling it into the corner.
I gotta find some video.
And just drift it through the corner, right? And then keep going. Well, I finished third, and I was like a second behind the winner. I caught back up. If I had one more lap, I'd have won that race. So I finished third, and they don't have me back because they basically say, like, if you win the race, you can come back. If you don't win the race, you can't come back. They were like, we're done with Alfonso. We're not giving him breaks.
Oh,
and
man.
then I finished third.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 years of the Grand Prix for the celebrity race, I came back. They put me in the pro division, and I went through the field and caught because for people who don't know the Toyota Celebrity Race, they put the pros 30 seconds behind the celebrities.
That's it. Yeah.
And so I started 30 seconds. I won the pole of the pros, and then caught the celebrities, went through the celebrities, and was in first place on lap 6. And then just walked away from the field. So this was the last year of the Toyota Celebrity Race. And they have Max Pappas, Al Unser Jr., Jimmy Vasser, Rob Millen. That's
pretty stacked.
Then a bunch of celebrities. Sean did it. Frankie Munoz. A bunch of guys did it, right? So I go out. We always would practice up at Willow Springs. I would go out, and I basically was faster than everybody, all the pros, everybody. They were doing lap times. I'm faster than everybody up there at Willow. We get to Long Beach on the race weekend, and we go out first practice session, and I'm like 13th. And I'm driving the car, and I'm like, something ain't right. Like, this is not driving right. Like, the car is jacked up. And so I come in, and I'm like, guys, there's something wrong. Like, the car feels like it's literally rising up as I'm driving. Right? And I'm like, and so we're going through everything. We do the second practice session, and then we have qualifying. I qualified like mid-pack, but something like 10th or something like that out of like 22 cars. Mm-hmm. I'm devastated because I'm going, there's no way that I got slow. And I've done the year before. I knew my times, right? Yeah. So I know what I normally do at the track, and I'm driving the wheels off this thing. And I go to the chief engineer and I say, hey guys, can we test the pounds on the tires? Because something's not right. The car feels like the center of gravity is way too high, and the car is just like tipping back and forth, and it's like I can't get anything to stick. It's like it loads and then disappears. They tested it through the first day or whatever. They're like, it's coming back fine. Qualified horribly. Wake up the next morning, and my crew chief comes to me and says, "Our bad. We totally messed up."
Well, they do.
We had a broken air pressure gauge.
Ooh.
Your tires were 8 pounds or 8 or 10 pounds too high. So the car was good for a half a lap, right?
That's
and then
crazy.
It was gone,
yep.
Right? So they obviously went and got a different air gun, and they looked at it, and they got the pressures right. But they reversed the field for the last year. So They put the worst guys first, and the best guys were last. So I'm starting mid-pack. I was like,
I'm good.
Okay, sure. This might work out anyway.
That's awesome.
And so, I literally take off. I go right through the field. I'm in first place. They have a yellow flag. I take off. I win the race by a long ways. Nobody catches me, no close. But the coolest thing was at the end when we're in pit, and the podium. Max Pappas and Rod Millen finished second and third behind me. And Max Pappas said, yes, he started in front, but I couldn't catch him. He was gone.
Solid. That's nice.
He was like, he literally checked out. Because once they had the yellow, everybody was right there. And I checked out from even him. So it felt good to know that, all right, like the last year I did win. It wasn't like the rest where I literally drove.
Yeah.
It was reverse field. I qualified badly, but it wasn't my fault. It was all of that. but it was my fourth win, and no one has more wins other than Alfonso Jr. in the IndyCar race at Long Beach.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. You've heard and read about us. We are the Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. Our senior program is the best in the sport, and we have the SCUSA Pro Tour X30 Senior Championship to prove it. Our coaching staff includes 4-time SCUSA National Champion Ryan Norbert, 3-time SCUSA Supernats winner Bonner Moulton, SCUSA Pro Tour X30 Junior Champion, 2015 Rotax Grand Finals Vice Champion, and Junior Development Specialist Luke Selkin, and our hands-on owner, multi-time champion, and IKF Duffy winner Mike Rawlson. This isn't sideline coaching. We're on track, and we dogfight with you. It's like nothing you've ever experienced. You learn more and more with every single lap. Our seniors win races, like Hannah Greenmeyer at the SCUSA Winter Series opener in Florida. And they win because they've been trained, coached, and honed by our RPG staff. Hurricane Hannah is proof positive. If you're a mini driver ready to move up, or a junior driver who's done with running mid-pack, join the team that will develop your skills and take you to the podium. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we turn juniors into pros. In 2020, we'll be racing at the SCUSA Winter Series, Pro Tour and California Pro Kart Challenge, the Florida Winter Tour, and the United States Pro Kart Series, as well as the IKF Northwest region. If you want to fight for championships, or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. We're the Rawlson Performance Group. We race to win. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and the new for 2020 in the US, the Red Speed and the EOS, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and the SCUSA Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, and the United States Pro Kart Series and the WK Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS, visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK directly. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. Hey, quick question for you.
Yeah,
back to the Supernats.
Yeah, man.
Did you come when Schumacher came to run the race?
I did. I was there. I came that year. I didn't race, but I came and hung out and watched.
What do you think of that? What was that like?
Oh, I mean, it was like, I've got photos on my phone. Like, it's like,
yeah.
I was taking pictures of him just literally like, people would be like, what is that? I was like, that head right there, that little small head all the way out, that's Schumacher. It was very cool that a lot of the Formula One guys came over, because I know it was Giancarlo Fisichella, Schumacher. There was a few guys that came over and ran from F1. Obviously, when Schumacher was there, it made everybody not even remember the other people who were racing. But it really said something to where I remember being pretty much at the first one and seeing what it had grown to.
Yeah.
To see the transformation, and to feel like, Sean, myself, had a small part in, broadening the global appeal and the knowledge of that race. Because obviously we did interviews and wherever, and we talked about it. I mean, obviously, whenever any media came, you guys came to me or Sean and said, "Hey, can you do this?" And we were always, up to doing it to help the sport. But to see that it had grown to that was very special. To know that we were kind of the grand poobahs of the beginning of that thing.
It was awesome. Okay, now let me tell you. So when was the last time you were in a kart?
About 4 years ago,
right.
Everett and Philip Giebler had me go out to Fontana, and Tanner Faust was out there. We shot a little thing. It was a little fun thing about, racing, and they had the camera crew out there, and the karts were completely different. Like the power band, like back when we, obviously the technology and the motors weren't as what they are today, right?
Yeah.
That I don't even know what they call it now, but what would have been S1, the super level, those karts, it's like, that's the power band. That was the entire, I was like, where is the power? And then all of a sudden it came on and it was a rocket ship. It felt like it had turbo. But yeah, I mean, it was 4 years ago, and I realized how much out of shape I was, even though that was after Dancing with the Stars, when I was kind of in shape.
Yeah.
But not in karting shape.
Do you have a desire to get back and race again potentially? Is there something else that fuels your competitive fire now?
I've got a lot of little ones now. I have my family. I've got a little girl who's about to turn 1. I've got a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, obviously my 17-year-old. And so, it was funny because, obviously I went on and blasted ESPN, and that's what kind of got all this whole thing started again, and people were recognizing that I'm into racing. For not knowing the difference between IndyCar and F1 on ESPN. I was like, come on, y'all. You air F1 on your channel. You got to know where to get the media footage, right? But I sat around and I thought, do I really even want to get a simulator? And it's that thing when I have an addictive personality. And I was researching it. I was going through all of it. I was like looking to find the companies. Where could I put it in my house? The chair, where it would work, what kind of screens. I was looking at steering wheels and the foot pedals, and I got fully into it. And then I said, when the hell am I going to do this?
There's no time. That's funny.
I'm home all the time now because of obviously all of our situations, and we don't go out at all. I was like, no, I can't buy this.
You would dive so deep into it.
Dude, I know myself well enough now. The difference between Alfonso 25 years ago and Alfonso now is I go, yeah, dude, you can't own this. You could go to someone's house and play with it every once in a while, but you can't own this because my kids would literally be missing me. I'm already like that with golf, and I don't need two things that I would literally spend all my time working on. And I would, because I tell you, I would be trying to do it. I would be one of those dudes that literally at, 4:00 in the morning, be sitting there on my deal. My wife coming in, knocking me upside my head, going like, "Get to bed, you idiot!"
I'm testing,
dude. And listen. I really believe I can take turn 1 faster. I get this.
Hey, let's ask one more question before we do the EK and Fast 5. This will kind of stop you from racing again. You look back in your career. I had Justin Moon just posted it. What was your biggest wreck? Do you remember your biggest wreck?
Oh, absolutely. I had 2 of them.
Okay.
I had 2 really. Oh, do you remember Scusa Reno? Yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah,
that was one of them.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. That pretty much.
You went straight off that corner and powered into the fence.
There was so the Reno track had the highest curbs for a chicane. Ever. Right?
Coming down that hill, and then going through that little chicane onto the straightaway. Yep.
And I hit the first curve, and it got me off, right? Because it kind of lifted it up, and they had a cone. They had a big old cone, and I hit the cone with the other way, and it just shot the go-kart rolling over the fence, right? Yeah. Into the stands. It was horrible, right? I'm looping into the hay and the wall. It was bad. They took me to the hospital. I came back. I was fine. The biggest wreck I ever had was in Reno, except not in a go-kart.
All right.
And what was funny was when I went to the hospital for this one, they were like, weren't you here a couple of years ago? So I wrecked in a Barbadage Pro Series car. And I was going down the straightaway, made a mistake going into the straightaway. 2 cars got up next to me. The little idiot in my head goes, dude, if you could just stay in it longer than the 2 and get past them again, because I had already passed both of them, then you'll be fine, because it was just a mistake that I made and I could get through it.
Yeah.
Well, as I was going, both cars went whoop. And then it hit me that, oh, maybe I should brake, right? Because I kind of need to hit the brakes. And I missed the brakes. My boy walked over here. He was looking at me. I was like, I can't hear whether you make a noise where I can hear you. So I didn't hit the brake in time. And I remember everything going dead silent and everything went slow motion. And I backed her into a tire wall. The car hit the wall, went straight up in the air, did a 360 in the air, broke the engine off of the back of the car.
Ouch.
And then the 2 cars that I passed ran into me. And it was all 4 corners are gone. I was knocked out, just gone. And so they took me to the hospital. I woke up on the track. I woke up kind of like halfway in the car, and I got up and I started to try to walk off the track. Dumb, because I was knocked out. My brain wasn't working. And you know that thing where like you start here and you walk down the stairs and you pretend you're walking down? That's what I did. I walked down the stairs because I literally just like I couldn't walk and laid out. Now I'm laid out on the actual hot track.
Oh my God.
Guys jump over the wall, they lift me up, they put me on in the infield. They took me to the hospital. I spent a couple of days in the hospital there. That's what got me into karting.
There it is. I'm out. We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We ship daily to ensure that you get your order as quickly as possible, and we are constantly adding new products to our online store. We specialize in IAME engines, Tillet seats, ceramic product line, OTK products, Briggs & Stratton engines, and of course, our championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fit your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Feel like you're racing alongside the many legends that have called CRG home. With direct factory support, the CRG Nordam operation is the North American distributor for all CRG products related to karting and is based just outside Houston, Texas. The complete racing chassis line, including the famous Road Rebel shifter kart, is available through CRG Nordam. The growing FS4 Briggs & Stratton focused chassis is expanding worldwide, including right here in North America. Many tracks, indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the Centurion rental kart line through CRG. New for the 2020 season is the Mini Hero for cadet racing, homologated for FIA competitions around the world. Head over to kartcrg.com or find them on all social media networks. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. All right, listen. Here we go. I got 5 questions for you. The EKN Fast 5. You kind of already did the first one, but we'll start it so it's all together.
Okay.
Alfonso Ribeiro, are you ready?
Yep, I am.
All right. Question 1. What was your first cart? Your very first cart?
My first cart that I owned was a Track Magic. Was a Tony Kart.
Yep.
Tony Kart Track Magic was the first cart that I actually bought.
Of all the racing, question 2, of all the racing you've done in karting, what was your favorite track?
Well, I have 2 favorite tracks. My favorite track, obviously, was Norman, Oklahoma, because I won the World Finals there, and it was a track that I really enjoyed going. We went there and tested a bunch, and loved going there. And the owner, I forget his name right now.
Rodney Berryhill.
Rodney Berryhill. What a just true Oklahomian, right? Yeah. We loved going there. He totally took care of us. I loved racing that track. And then basically the Willow Springs kart track is a really good testing track because of the fact that you're at elevation. And so the difference between going in the morning, afternoon, evening really taught us a lot about understanding how to work the carburetor and put the jets in properly and the way that track would heat up. And so we were taking, track temps. And so knowing how the kart reacted, it was a great place to go testing.
That's awesome. You kind of, I can probably figure this out, but question 3, what was the biggest win of your karting career?
Well, obviously, yes, I just said it, the World Finals. That was absolutely amazing. The other one was Santa Maria. I literally, from the first session through to the win, I was the fastest on the track at all sessions. So that was another really cool win because it wasn't just the win. There it is. There you are.
Santa Maria, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really cool because it was from the beginning of the weekend all the way through and was the fastest at every session. So that was a cool one. And
I think that one backed up your win at the World Finals because you were on Track Magic at that point. That was the next year, man. You came in, you were able to get that win.
Yeah. So that kind of said that it wasn't. It was me. It wasn't necessarily the equipment. I had reached the point where I could show up on a race weekend and show up and deliver.
And win. Question 4. Now, you had a small amount of time in karting. Who was your biggest rival when you were in karting?
I'm trying to remember dude's name. I believe his kart number was 5C.
Probably AJ Nowd.
No, it wasn't Nowd. No? It wasn't Nowd. We almost got into it a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't race me as cleanly as I would race him, and a couple of times, we would knock a little bit, and I certainly was a hothead. But the problem was, here's the problem: I was an adult. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people I was racing against were teenagers, right? There were a few adults, but a lot of them were 16, 17, 18. I couldn't get out of the cart and go snatch a kid up.
Okay? I've always said that. That's tough.
Yeah. Right. I was like, it ain't. I was like, you little. If I could, and then I would go to the dad and be like, I'm telling you, just one more time, I'm gonna knock your kid out. But I couldn't do that. So obviously, I was already on TV and all the rest. But I was like,
you can't do that.
I couldn't do it.
There's they're throwing a bunch of names up here, but I'm not going to throw anybody's names out. I don't want to get in a scrap right now.
No. You know what? It was. By the way, I will say this: we always made it right in the end, right? Like there was always someone would be like, and at the end of the day, we'd walk over to the other person's tent and be like, "Hey, dude, come on," right? And then we'd make it okay, and so we left it always with a good taste in our mouths.
All right, final question. In your karting career, who was your biggest mentor or influence?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was a combination of Sean Flannery, obviously, just being, my teammate and my running dog. We worked together to achieve what we wanted to achieve. And then I have to give all the love in the world out to Everett Giebler because having Phil Giebler be a champion, a lot of that information we got and would be able to utilize it. At the time, Phil was over in Europe racing. So, when he'd come back, we'd go have a test day and Phil would hop in the cart, right? And be like, no, this cart is set up great. Or no, this is all wrong. And so every once in a while, he'd come and help us really learn how to work on the setups of the cart.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And get him to he would, spend a half day and get the cart right. And then we'd hop in and be like, got it. That's the feeling that we're looking for. You know what I mean? Because you don't, until you know what a really good cart feels like.
That's it.
You have no idea what you're in search of.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way for someone of our stature that's not running F1 or IndyCar to have any real idea of what a perfectly tuned go-kart feels like until you get in one, or you accidentally get it right.
That's right.
Right? Because that's really what happened a bunch of times was in the beginning, we accidentally hit the setup. You know what I mean? I remember when we went to Florida, we didn't change anything.
Yep.
We delivered the cart, we got off, we went on the track, and the cart was fast and kept getting faster, right? So it was just one of those deals where the cart just was set up right.
Was right.
And we didn't have to do anything. I mean, little things like air pressure and all of that, but it wasn't like changing ride heights or any of that or changing the axle. There was never any of that. We didn't know what it felt like. Philip would help us every once in a while get the cart to where it was like, that is fast.
That's
and
awesome.
Now we can tune from there. And it was fine tuning, not big wholesale changes. I remember one night, and we'll end it here with setups. Phil Giebler obviously was my crew chief, and we worked together seamlessly. And it was something that was bothering me, and I couldn't get it right. I couldn't figure out how to get it. And I was dreaming. And I thought of something while I was sleeping, and I woke up. And it was 3:30 in the morning. I woke up in the morning, and I said, I got it. And I picked up the phone, and I called Everett. It was 3:30 in the morning. I said, Everett, listen, tomorrow we got to go to the track. I found something. I think it's going to work. It's going to be great. He was like, dude, it's 3:30 in the morning. What are you doing? Go to sleep. We'll talk about it in the morning. I was like, oh, you're right. My bad. Go to sleep. Love you, brother.
Dude, you were living it. Like you were obviously all in.
All in. All in.
All right. Done and dusted with the Fast Five. Well done. Good job. I like that. Hey, one thing I do want, and we'll wrap it up with this. One of the things I remember when when you and Sean were with us for so many times, we had a lot of great dinners. We had a lot of good times, cold beers at the end. I always liked the fact, and you used to tell us that you guys felt like you could come into the paddock and just be you.
Absolutely.
You weren't Alfonso Ribeiro, the actor, and Sean wasn't the actor, and we didn't ask you to do a stupid dance, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, of course.
You guys could just come and be yourself and hang out and go racing. You were racing.
Listen, I remember not combing my hair for days, right? Like literally, because no one cared. Yeah. At the end of the day, the greatest thing about sports and karting in particular is that it doesn't matter who you are going in. It doesn't matter whether you're famous or not, or old or young. All that matters is what you do on that track.
Yeah.
Can you deliver a lap time? And then can you race that lap time and be clean enough to win a race? That's all anybody ever cares about when you go to a racetrack. That's it. That to me was what made racing so special. It had nothing to do. It didn't matter, it changed, which is why we got out of it. It did matter how much money or who you knew or how you could influence things. And it did become political. And shoot, some people ended up with F1 careers out of it. We'll leave it at that. But at the end of the day, right, like you had to be fast. You had to show up. You had to do it yourself. And nobody cared who you were. Nobody cared how much money you had. No one cared any of that.
Yeah.
Are you fast? If you're fast, you get respect. You're slow, you're back there. Go talk to the people next to you.
Hey, listen, we got Trevor McAllister chiming in. We got Matt Jaskell chiming in. I love it.
Wow, those are my boys.
That's it. Hey, listen,
Matt,
it's
always love racing with you, buddy. Matt, you were awesome.
That's awesome.
And stop skydiving.
He's not going to stop skydiving.
No, stop skydiving, Matt. Okay. Stop skydiving. No more.
Alfonso, thank you so much for joining me, buddy. It's been great to talk to you. A long-time friendship. I love watching what you do, and you continue to be a rock star. I appreciate you taking the time out for us.
Thanks, Rob. It's I'm so happy to see you just be the guy who was calling races on the start stand to now having your shows and working with IndyCar. And dude, I am so proud of what you've become also, which is why when you asked me to do this, it was an automatic, yeah, absolutely. I want to come on and reminisce about the old days. And you're proud of what you're doing, and congrats, and keep doing it. Keep doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Take care of your family and take care during this time, buddy.
Absolutely, brother. Hope everybody's safe, and can't wait to get back to jumping in those wheels for everybody else out there.
That's it. Thanks, Alfonso. Take care, buddy.
All right, guys.
Folks, one of the best, man. Alfonso Ribeiro. Great to have him with us on the show. I'm telling you, it was such good times back then. As he said, we were all about having a good time, and these guys were out racing. They didn't have to be actors. They didn't have to be celebrities. They just were able to come and race. And that was the beauty of having both he and Sean Patrick Flannery with us for those 4 years of just really hardcore racing. Appreciate everybody joining us here on the Face2Face. We'll have more coming. Thanks again to Alfonso Ribeiro. Thanks for David Cole for handling the production. My name is Rob Howden. It's been great, folks. Book it.